You stand in front of the mirror, you adjust your glasses, you turn your face slightly, you pull at the skin near your chin, the skin that used to be firm. And for a moment, just a flicker, you wonder where the woman you used to be has gone. You don't say it out loud, you're not even sure you're allowed to say it, because people tell you things like, "You look great for your age. You're still sharp, you're aging well." But none of those words comfort you. Because in the privacy of your own bathroom, with the door closed and the lights too bright, you don't feel seen. Not truly. And somewhere deep in your chest, you feel a quiet kind of grief. Not because you want to be young again, not exactly, but because you were never taught how to feel beautiful as you aged. The truth is, you were raised in a world where beauty had an expiration date, where smooth skin and flat stomachs were currency, where your worth was quietly measured by how many people turned their heads when you walked by, or how well you could make yourself small, polite, perfect. You learned without anyone having to say it directly that your beauty would peak and then fade. And so now, when you catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror, you sometimes feel invisible, like you've become a shadow of the woman you once were. But here's the radical, quiet, healing truth. The mirror lied to you. It only shows you skin, lines, flesh. It doesn't show the decades of laughter that etched those lines into your cheeks. It doesn't reflect the children you rocked to sleep with those arms. It doesn't reveal the mornings you pulled yourself out of bed when grief pressed heavy on your chest. It doesn't show the beauty of survival, the elegance of endurance, the quiet glow of wisdom earned over time. You see, beauty, real beauty, was never meant to be youthful. It was meant to be true, but we were never told that. Instead, we were fed creams, dyes, surgeries, and silence. We were taught to fix, cover, hide, until one day we woke up and couldn't recognize the woman in the mirror. And worst of all, we blamed ourselves for it. But what if the problem was never your face? What if it was the mirror and the world behind it? What if beauty didn't leave you, you were just taught to stop seeing it? In the next part, we'll gently unravel the lies we were told about beauty and begin the tender work of remembering what it really means to be radiant. Because you are still radiant, even if you don't always believe it, even if no one says it, even if the mirror refuses to show it. You are still here, and your beauty is not gone. It's just been waiting for you to come back home to it. Do you remember when you first learned what beauty was supposed to look like? It wasn't taught to you like a school lesson. No one sat you down and said, "This is beauty and this is not." No, it was quieter than that, more dangerous. It was in the magazines your mother read, the actresses on television who never aged past 35, the way grown-ups praised the pretty girls for being ladylike and the boys for being strong. It was in the compliments you didn't receive, in the silent comparisons, in the way your body was observed, commented on, or ignored, depending on how well it fit the mold. And over time, that mold became the truth you lived by, even if you never believed in it fully. You learned that to be beautiful meant to be slim but not too thin, to have flawless skin but no sign of effort, to be youthful but not immature, to be graceful but not invisible, to be desirable but not too sexual, to be admired but never envied. In short, to walk an impossible tightrope held up by other people's approval. And then, without warning, you were told that rope was gone, that your moment had passed, that the spotlight now belonged to someone else. You weren't told directly, but you felt it, in the way younger women were seen first, in the way compliments became rarer, in the way people started calling you ma'am or dear with pity in their tone, in the way your body began to change, and the world looked away. They didn't tell you your beauty was gone. They simply stopped treating you like it was there. And so you stopped believing in it too. You stopped dressing in colors that made you feel alive. You stopped wearing earrings that made you feel bold. You stopped smiling at your reflection in the mirror. You stopped touching your own skin with love. You stopped trying because no one taught you how to carry beauty into age. And here's the heartbreak of it all. They stole your definition of beauty and never gave you a new one. But you are not broken, you were just misled. The truth is this: beauty was never about symmetry, youth, or weight. It was never about fitting in. It was about feeling fully alive inside your own skin. And that has nothing to do with how many birthdays you've had. In fact, some of the most radiant women I've ever met were over 70. They wore their lines like jewelry. They walked like they knew who they were. They didn't chase approval, they exhaled authenticity. Because real beauty doesn't beg to be noticed. It simply shines. And that shine, it never left you. It may have dimmed, it may have been buried, but it's still yours. You just have to remember how to let it out again. In the next part, we'll talk about the quiet radiance of age, the kind of beauty that can't be bought, painted on, or filtered. It's the kind that only reveals itself when you stop hiding who you really are. And you're ready for that, aren't you? There's a kind of beauty that doesn't turn heads, but turns hearts. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't ask for compliments. It doesn't need makeup, lighting, or filters. It just is. And if you've lived past 70, you carry it. You may not feel it every day. You may not even recognize it when you look in the mirror. But I promise you, others do. It's in your eyes, the ones that have seen love come and go, babies born and grown, sunrises after long, tear-stained nights. It's in your hands, wrinkled, yes, but strong. They've held on to lovers, held the hands of frightened children, held casseroles, folded clothes, written cards, wiped tears. These hands have built homes, even when they shook. It's in your voice, quieter now maybe, but richer, layered with memories. When you speak, people listen, not because you shout, but because your words carry something earned. It's in your walk, a little slower perhaps, but steady. You walk with the grace of someone who no longer rushes for the world, because she knows what's worth slowing down for. And most of all, your beauty is in your presence. When you enter a room, you bring the weight of years survived, not just lived, but survived. Illnesses, heartbreaks, moves, deaths, loneliness, beginnings you didn't ask for, endings you weren't ready for. And yet, here you are, alive. Still curious, still capable of joy. Do you know how rare that is? The world may not write songs about your cheekbones anymore, but it should write ballads about your resilience, about your softness, the kind that took decades to cultivate, about the way you hug now, fully like you mean it, about the way your laughter holds sorrow and sweetness at once. That is beauty, unshakable, unapologetic. It's not the beauty of a debutante, it's the beauty of a warrior who no longer needs armor. It's not youthful, it's eternal. But the tragedy is, we're taught to look in the mirror for it, instead of feeling it from within. Because the mirror? It only sees the surface. It doesn't know that your gray hair came after years of showing up for others, even when no one showed up for you. It doesn't know your stretch marks came from love, that your soft belly held life, that your sagging arms once carried generations. It doesn't know the price you paid for your peace. But I do. And maybe, somewhere inside, you do too. So here's what I want you to hear. You are still radiant, not because you're pretending to be younger, not because you've aged gracefully, not because you hide your lines, but because you've lived fully, honestly, bravely. And the world needs that kind of beauty more than ever. In the next part, we'll begin the healing, not by changing how you look, but by changing how you see yourself. Because this is not about mirrors anymore. It's about returning to the truth that you are enough, you always were, and beauty was never something you had to earn. You've lived in your body for over 70 years. You've cared for others with it. You've worked through sickness, stress, and sorrow with it. You've asked it to keep going, even when your heart couldn't. But here's the question we rarely ask at this age. Have you ever truly made peace with it? For so long, your body was something to fix, to hide, to improve. You were told your arms were too big, your belly was too soft, your thighs were not toned, your skin wasn't smooth enough, your hair, the wrong color, the wrong texture, the wrong length. And quietly, you began to treat your body as an enemy. You covered it in shame, punished it with silence, talked about it as if it were something separate from you, as if it betrayed you simply by aging. But your body, she never stopped showing up for you. She carried you to every doctor's appointment. She stood beside hospital beds and funeral homes. She cradled your grandchildren. She danced. Maybe not like before, but still in the kitchen, when no one was watching. She softened so you could hold more love. She slowed down so you could feel more. She wrinkled and stretched and changed, not to punish you, but to protect you. And now, she's tired. She needs gentleness, not judgment. So what would it look like to love her again? Not as a project, not as a before and after, but as a lifelong companion who has never once abandoned you. Maybe it begins with something small, like placing your hand on your chest in the morning and saying, "Thank you for keeping me alive." Or standing in front of the mirror, not to critique, but to witness. To look at your stretch marks and say, "This is where love lived." To look at your scars and say, "This is where I healed." To look at your wrinkles and say, "This is where I laughed. This is where I cried." Or maybe you begin dressing in colors that make you smile, not to impress anyone, just to feel yourself again. Maybe you start moisturizing your skin with tenderness, as if you were caring for a friend, because you are. Maybe you eat not for weight or control, but for energy, for joy, for the memory of family meals. Maybe you begin to move not to burn calories, but to feel your body alive again. To dance, to walk under the sky, to stretch toward sunlight like a flower still blooming. Because you are. You are still here. You are still soft, still human. Still worthy of being treated gently, especially by you. This is not about changing your body. This is about changing your relationship with it. Because you don't have to fight yourself anymore. You've earned the right to feel at home inside your own skin. In the next part, we'll talk about how to live beautifully, not in appearance, but in presence. Because real beauty isn't just how you look, it's how you carry your truth. And now, maybe for the first time, you're ready to walk in that truth, unapologetically. What does it mean to live beautifully? It's not about finding the perfect lipstick shade. It's not about fitting into old jeans or trying the latest anti-aging serum. And it's definitely not about keeping up with trends made for people who haven't lived half as long as you have. Living beautifully at this age is something far deeper, something softer, and far more powerful. It means walking through the world without apology. It means dressing for your soul, not the sidewalk. It means reclaiming the small joys that were once put aside, for children, for a spouse, for responsibilities, for survival. Now you get to live for you. Because here's a quiet truth. You don't need to prove anything to anyone anymore. You don't need to look younger to be lovable. You don't need to be productive to be valuable. You don't need to be useful to be worthy. What you do need is to be true. And truth, when worn with grace, is radiant. So how do you begin? Start small. Wear that scarf you love, even if no one else understands the color. Wear earrings just for the sound they make when you move. Put on the soft cardigan that makes you feel hugged from the inside. Paint your nails if it makes your hands feel seen. Let your gray hair grow like silver threads of story. Or dye it fire red if that's what makes your eyes light up again. The point isn't to please anyone. The point is to feel alive in your own skin. Speak kindly, not just to others, but to yourself. Catch that inner voice when it whispers, "You look tired," or "You're too old for that." Pause and say instead, "I look wise. I look real. I look like me." Then walk into your day carrying that truth like perfume. Let your presence be your beauty. Let your softness be your power. Let your years be your art. And when people notice, smile. Not because you need their approval, but because you're finally seeing yourself. This is what living beautifully means. It's in how you pause to watch the birds outside your window, how you touch a leaf with reverence, how you ask deep questions without rushing to answers. It's in the way you listen, really listen to someone you love. It's in the stories you tell, the warmth you bring into a room, the grace you offer in silence. None of this can be worn. None of this can be bought. All of it is beauty, and it's already in you. Living beautifully isn't about recapturing youth. It's about living fully, now. Because this chapter, this one right here, is not an ending. It's the part of the story where the woman you've always been finally gets to speak. In the final part, we'll return to the mirror, not to judge, but to recognize the light that's been waiting all along. And if you've made it this far with me, you already know you are still radiant. Not in spite of your age, but because of it. You return to the mirror now. Same room, same reflection, but something feels different. You're not looking for flaws this time. You're not trying to erase, hide, or correct anything. You're just witnessing. A face that has carried decades, a body that never gave up, eyes that still hold softness. And something else, too, something you haven't seen in a long time. Light. It's not flashy, not loud, not the kind of light that screams for attention. No, this light is quiet. Like a candle in a room that was dark for too long. Like a whisper that says, I'm still here. I've always been here. That's the light of your beauty. Not borrowed from youth, not manufactured by products, but born from every moment you chose to keep going. To keep loving, to keep showing up, even when you were tired, unseen, or afraid. And that light, it never left you. Maybe no one told you this before. Maybe they didn't have the words. So let me say it now. Clearly, slowly, and with all my heart, you are beautiful. Still, now, here, not someday, not when, but now. You don't need to earn it, you don't need to ask for it, you just need to remember it. Because your beauty is not a question, it's a truth. And if this video reached you at the right time, if something in you stirred, softened, or healed, I want to invite you to take one small step. Not for me, not for anyone else, but for you. Leave a comment below. Tell me, what was a moment in your life when you felt truly beautiful? Was it when you were dancing barefoot in the kitchen? When someone looked at you like you were the whole sky? Or maybe, right now after hearing these words? And if this video brought something warm to your heart, please consider subscribing to this channel. Because here, we talk about the truths the world often forgets to say out loud. Here, we remember who we really are, even after 70. Here, you don't have to pretend. You don't have to hide. You are welcome exactly as you are. So let's walk this path together, gently, bravely, beautifully. You are still radiant, and the world still needs your light. Thank you for being here. Truly.